In Indian philosophy, the Vedas are considered the ultimate authority for validating any spiritual principle. To elaborate their meaning, many more scriptures have been written. These scriptures do not deviate from the authority of the Vedas. Rather, they attempt to expand and explain the knowledge contained in them. Together, all these are termed as Vedic scriptures. The Vedic scriptures are vast, but three of them have traditionally been called Prasthana Trayi. These are the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, and the Bhagavad Gita. The Upanishads are the section of the Vedas that deal with the philosophical knowledge, and we considered the and are considered the cream of the Vedas. However, for a layperson, the Upanishads are difficult to fathom. The Brahma Sutras is a synopsis of the Upanishads. It was written by Vedvyas to provide the philosophical conclusion of Vedic knowledge. Thus, it is also called Vedant, meaning the culmination of Vedic thought. Like the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras is also hard to understand, and its conciseness often leads to ambiguity and subjective interpretation. The Bhagavad Gita is more accessible than the above two scriptures. It provides a comprehensive and easy to understand summary of the Vedic philosophy. Bhagavad means of God and Gita means song. Hence, the Bhagavad Gita literally means song of God. It is a dialogue that took place between the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna and his devotee Arjun on the verge of the Mahabharata war. The Bhagavad Gita was originally compiled by Vedvyas as a separate text. Later, when he wrote the Mahabharata, he embedded the Bhagavad Gita in it. The Mahabharata contains 100,000 verses and is therefore the largest poem in the world. The Mahabharata is again divided into 18 sections. The Bhagavad Gita is set in the sixth section, which is called the Bhishma Parva. It comprises 18 chapters of the section, beginning from chapter 25 and continuing until the chapter 42. The teaching of the Bhagavad Gita must therefore not be regarded merely in the light of a generalized philosophy. It is in fact the practical application of ethics to human life in a specific situation of crisis that serves as its setting. Since its teachings are exceedingly profound, the Bhagavad Gita required an equally problematic and insurmountable crisis as its setting. Thus, in order to fully appreciate the value of its ideas, the historical flow of events that led to the speaking of the divine message to Arjuna by Lord Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra must also be known. The setting in which the Bhagavad Gita was spoken was the onset of Mahabharata, a colossal war that was about to begin between two sets of cousins, the Kauravas and the Pandavas. The Pandavas, Yudhishthir, Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, and Sahadev were five noble brothers. Their father, King Pandu, had suffered an unfortunate death while his five sons were still very young. Pandu's throne had been usurped by his brother, that is stepbrother Dhritarashtra, who was blind from birth. Dhritarashtra had 100 sons called the Kauravas, the eldest of whom was Duryodhan. For years, the Kauravas, led by Duryodhan, had victimized their cousins, the Pandavas, and governed over the kingdom of Hastinapur, which did not rightfully belong to them. The Kauravas embodied cruelty, injustice, and oppression. On the other hand, the Pandavas were saintly and virtuous, the epitomes of morality, sacrifice, devotion, and compassion. Most importantly, they were great devotees of Lord Sri Krishna. Due to the oppression meted out to them by the Kauravas, the miseries of the Pandavas had become so unbearable that a war between two sides had become imminent. Realizing the unavoidability of the war, Both sides had canvassed for support from the scores of kingdoms that littered the landscape of Bharat, now India, at that time. The two groups of cousins were so powerful that the war would impact the whole of Bharat. Thus, all the kings in the land were obliged to align themselves with one side or the other. As a part of this vigorous mobilization attempts, both Arjuna and Duryodhan had reached Dwarka to request the help of Lord Krishna. Being omniscient, Sri Krishna knew that they were coming to entreat his help. He created a situation that set the tone for the approaching battle. He posed to be sleeping in his chamber. Arjuna entered the chamber and, in a mood of humbleness, sat by the side of Sri Krishna's feet, waiting for him to wake up. In the meantime, Duryodhana also arrived and, in his characteristic arrogance, sat on a chair behind Sri Krishna's head. When Sri Krishna awoke, his eyes naturally fell first upon Arjun, and later he was made aware of the presence of Duryodhana as well. Both parties sought his assistance in the war. Since Arjun and Duryodhan were both Sri Krishna's cousins, he did not wish to be blamed or of partiality. So he offered that to one side he would give his huge army of the kingdom of Dwarka, while to the other side he would himself remain but without any weapons. Since Sri Krishna had seen Arjun first upon waking up, he gave the first choice to him. Arjun elected to have Sri Krishna on his side, though without weapons. He decided that if God was with him, he could never lose. Duryodhan was pleased by Arjun's choice, for he believed solely in material strength based upon military might. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna thus became the charioteer of Arjun in the war. On the verge of the battle, huge armies had gathered on either side upon the battlefield of Kurukshetra. This was the impending war of Mahabharat, the great battle of India. The situation was extremely grave, as an era was about to self destruct itself in the warfare. Just before the combat was about to begin, Arjun requested Lord Krishna to pull his chariot between the two armies. On seeing the warriors who had arrayed themselves for combat, Arjun lost heart. In a fit of despondency, he threw down his bow and refused to fight. Arjun was a victim of moral paradox. On one hand, he was facing persons who deserved his respect and veneration, such as his grandfather Bhishma, his teacher Dronacharya. On the other hand, his duty as a warrior was to fight the war of righteousness. Yet, no fruits of victory seemed to justify such a heinous act. It seemed like a dilemma without solution. Bewildered, demoralized, disappointed with life, and dejected with events, Arjuna surrendered to the Lord and supplicated for guidance on what the proper course of action for him was. In this state of Arjun's moral confusion, Sri Krishna set out to enlighten him. Jai Sri Krishna.